Welcome, Stache. It's another episode of Stache Sports. Sorry I was off yesterday, but I had a doctor's appointment, and yes, everything's okay with Mr. Stache. But doctor's appointment was good, and no news to report. But we have some sports to get into. First, we're good into hockey. A couple nights ago, the Buffalo Sabres were playing the Montreal Canadiens in Game 4. Buffalo Sabres looking to tie the series up 2-2 before going back to Buffalo, New York for Game 5. We'll find out. Did they do it? Here in a minute. Yes, they did. Spoiler alert. They did do it. They tied the game up 2-2, winning 3-2 in the game. Buffalo Sabres young players have scored a lot of goals in the series. It's nice to see the Buffalo Sabres young players and any young players in hockey, when you're a hockey fan, score goals for your beloved team, because then you know about your sports franchise. Even though I'm not a Buffalo Sabres fan, which some of the young Penguin players do it too. So I'm a diehard Penguin fan. But that's when you know that your young superstars are showing up. And in any franchise, in any sport, it's always good to know that your young superstars are showing up. Or anything. It's nice to know that the young people are showing up and the future looks bright in some of these sports teams. I mean, I know even I'm rooting for the Buffalo Sabres that haven't been in it for quite a while. Because my friend Brandon Kalavica, who's a great friend of mine, who never lies to me, is a great friend of mine, and he's a Buffalo Sabres fan, so I kind of hope to see the Buffalo Sabres win, and also to see the Canadian team lose, because the United States won gold this year in hockey, and it's been nice to see a non-Canadian team win, and the Montreal Canadiens are the only ever Canadian team in it. So if we want to show that during the Trump presidency and during these presidencies, that the United States is a hockey city and a hockey town, and Canada, even though Canada is known for hockey, we want to know the United States is known for hockey too. But we'll get into that later. But I also just want to see the United States team win the hockey, because it'd be funny. Because all the people are talking about Canadian being a hockey team, and Canadian hasn't won Lord Stanley for a Canadian team hasn't won Lord Stanley for quite a while. And if the Montreal Canadiens bow out, they will not be able to win it. But it's going to be hard whoever they play, because they have to play Carolina Hurricanes. That already been off a week, and they still have to go to Game 6, and they're playing Game 5 tonight, which we'll get into later here in a minute. The Buffalo Sabres and Canadians, that is. The other games last night was wild too. The Minnesota Wild in that game, but we'll get into that here in a minute. We'll go back to Tuesday games, because I didn't do an episode yesterday. We don't know why Ryan did. The Buffalo Sabres won 3-2. That's wow. The Buffalo Sabres won a road game. The Buffalo Sabres are the better seeded in this playoffs and have home ice right now, but they won Game 4, tying it up 2-0. In the first period, Mathis Samuelson scored, assisted by Joe Norris and Josh Doan in 6, making it 1-0. Then Montreal scored. Alex Newhook, that's an interesting name, assisted by Jake Evans and Ian Dimitrov. I'm trying my best to pronounce these hockey names. I know it's hard, so don't come at me. Making it 1-1. And then Cole Caulfield was still playing, had a power play goal assisted by Jory Slovakia and Lane Hudson, making it 2-1 2-1 Montreal, And in the second period, Tage Thompson scored on a power play. It's nice to see Tage Thompson score. Tage Thompson is one of these young and upcoming superstars. And it's nice to see one of these young and upcoming superstars score for the Buffalo Sabres and see that in the Buffalo Sabres game and make an interesting hockey game going into the third period, tied 2-2. Like nothing better if you're just a casual hockey fan like myself right now, because my beloved Penguins got swept by the Philadelphia Stupid Criers. Everything gets swept. They lost in Game 6 against the Philadelphia Criers. But the Philadelphia Criers got justice and got swept by the Carolina Hurricanes in the next round. Thank you, Carolina. But anyway, going 2-2 in the third period in the game that the Buffalo Sabres had to win to even the series and come back in the series and make it a series again. With 4:41 in the third period, which is in hockey, they go up on the clock, even though it counts down from 20, they go up. So it's early in the third period. Buffalo Sabres scored by Zach Benson. Zach Benson is also one of these young and upcoming players. And Zach Benson's looking really good for the Buffalo Sabres right now. It's nice to see some of these superstars, even though it's not my beloved Penguins, some of these young superstars look good. So we know the NHL future is bright for some of these other teams other than the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's nice to see some of these young players like Zach Benson do good. He was assisted by Josh Dillon again. Dillon has a lot of assists, and Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson's one of the other assists, but that's all she wrote. That's all that it took. The Buffalo Sabres had a couple good stops near the end there to make sure the Montreal Canadiens didn't tie it. Like the other game we'll get into here in a minute. But that's all she wrote. Now the Buffalo Sabres are tied, going to Game 5 tonight. And we'll get into that later on in the video. But it's nice to see the Buffalo Sabres win in Montreal. I mean, that was one hard part. The Buffalo Sabres having a trouble time losing because the other two games they got beat bad. But now they've tied the series up. So now it's anybody's series again. And it's going to Game 5 and to Game 6 because now it's tied 2-2, so it has to go to Game 6. But the Buffalo Sabres are back in Buffalo tonight looking to even up and go up 3-2 against the Montreal Canadiens. Will they do it? You'll have to find out later in the video because I'm going over the Las Vegas score now. But it is nice to see the Buffalo Sabres win. The Buffalo Sabres won 3-2, that's all she wrote. The Buffalo Sabres goaltender, Lukin, had 31 saves, 2 goals against, 29 saves, save percentage is 9 points. It's going to be interesting to see if he plays in the net tonight. So I don't know if they switch goalies after having the 2 games of not doing good. They might switch goalies. So it's going to be interesting to see who plays for the Buffalo Sabres tonight. But the Buffalo Sabres are tied the series at 3-2. At 2 games, winning 3-2. The Las Vegas Golden Knights won 3-2 in overtime, going up 3-2. For some reason, that series is 1 game ahead from the Buffalo series. But in the Buffalo series, excuse me, let me slow down here. In the Buffalo series, the team they played next, the Carolina Hurricanes, made ease of the Philadelphia Flyers and swept them. So now they have a rest. Sometimes, I don't know if that's good or bad for teams that are hot. I mean, it didn't really affect them because the Carolina Hurricanes swept whoever they played in the first round 4-0 and had to wait for the Pittsburgh Penguins series to finish out of 6 games when the Pittsburgh Penguins almost came back the tie after 3-0. If the Penguins didn't mess up and let the stupid Philadelphia Flyers get up 3-0 and would have played like they did near the end and would have had our goaltender in bed was in there, Arthur Sheloff, who was playing a lot better than Stuart Skinner. Who would have known if the Penguins would have tied it up and made it a lot better and played like they did? They might have been able to give the Carolina Hurricanes the first loss, or they might have got swept by Carolina too. I mean, that's a what-if game. That's the game, what if this, what if that. You never know what's going to happen, but whatever. But anyway, the Ducks game went to overtime. It was good. The Ducks came back with like 3 minutes left in the second period to tie it, to make it to overtime, and the Vegas Golden Knights weren't able to score until overtime to win it. But we'll get into that here in a minute. Beckett, Sneaky, that's probably not how, and had a power play goal attempted by Cutter, Goupart, and Mason Maktovich, making it 1-0 Anaheim. And then Pavel, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, had a goal making 1-1. And the Thomas Harshaw, assisted by Brandon Saad and Rasmus Anderson, made it 2-1. And then with 16 minutes left, it was 16:55, which is like 3 minutes or whatever in the third period, because they count up on the clock. So they start from 20, so it'll be 20. So after 20 minutes, that'd be 1 minute, and so forth. Elvin Ziegler scored, assisted by Color Goupart and Mason Takovich, making it 2-2. And there's not enough time for them to come back, and the Vegas Golden Knights went overtime. That was a wild game. I mean, the Anaheim Ducks looked pretty good. I was surprised they tied it up. I even got a snack and thinking, oh, they're not going to tie it up, and they tied it up. But oh well. But it was nice to see them tie it up. And then early in the third period, 4 minutes gone by, Pavel Dorfier scored again, assisted by Jack Eichel, making it 3-2, overtime winning. You like to see games like that when you're an average hockey fan, to see games like that go into overtime, but it's nice to see that go into overtime. Now Vegas wins 3-2. Vegas plays again tonight. Will Vegas be able to move on and play their team later on? We'll get into it here in a minute. Now we're going to Wednesday's games. The games I had last night, but I would have made predictions if I would have done a video. I don't know if I would have predicted them right, but whatever. Last night we only had one game, because like I said, the Carolina Hurricanes swept the Philadelphia Flyers, so there was no other game in the Eastern Conference. So we had one game in the Western Conference that started at 8 o'clock, which is over by 11, but it was a good game. Early on, the Minnesota Wild went up 3-0, and then they choked it away and lost 4-3 in overtime. If you need help, Minnesota fans, please call the hotline, 904, blah, blah. If you need help, Minnesota fans, please leave comments down below, and I'll try to help you, because you choked away that lead to the Colorado Avalanche. The Minnesota Wild, Marcus Johansson scored, assisted by Matt Bordy and Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is one of the Hughes brothers that was on the great United States team that won gold this year in the Winter Olympics. I can't believe that we still won gold in the Winter Olympics. But Quinn Hughes won the gold score. Nick Fangio scored by Nico Storm and Keely Kapitov, 11. Make it 2-0. And a 3-0. Assisted by Nick Fangio again. Or Fangio. Assisted by Nick Storm, Matt Brody, making it 3-0. Parker Riley scored, assisted by Brent Burns and Brett Kulak. Kulak used to be one of the Pirates. I mean, we should have kept Brett Kulak. I don't know why we traded him to Colorado. That's one of the bad trades that the Penguins did this year. But Kulak had to go in, and Kulak also had something else later on in the game. In the third period, 16 minutes, which was near the end, and to me, it looked like, Minnesota's going to even this series, make it 3-2, and may come back and make you think, but they can come back 3-1, but not so fast. The Colorado Avalanche said not so fast there, Stache. And then Jack Dory, assisted by Devin Towles and Nicholas Royce, made it 3-2. The Colorado Avalanche are having an avalanche coming back. Hold your phone, Minnesota Wild. Stop partying. You're going to party too soon, and you're going to blow this lead. Oh, no! And then Nathan McKinnon, scored, assisted by Martin Nikas and Brent Burns. Brent Burns gets to play for the Carolina Hurricanes, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can play the Carolina Hurricanes, and if they move on. Making it 3-3. Oh, well. Oh, no, 3-3. They almost blew the lead. The Colorado Avalanche had 3 unassisted goals when the Minnesota Wild couldn't get one pass. Minnesota scored 3 goals in the first and couldn't get another goal. So now it's tied 3-3. We'll go to overtime. Yes, it will. It was 3 minutes and 52 in overtime. Right when overtime started, Brett Kulak begged to play for the Penguins after getting traded for Tristan Jarry when we got Stuart Skinner and him, and then we traded him to the Colorado Avalanche, which I don't know why the Pittsburgh Penguins traded him to the Colorado Avalanche. That's beyond me, but whatever. I had a game-winning goal assisted by Mavin Nukas and Parker Kelly, making 4-3. And now the Minnesota Wild have moved on to the next round and are waiting the winner of the Las Vegas Golden Knights and Anaheim Ducks series. But that was wild. I mean, that was a wild game last night. I was watching that and also watching the NBA game between the Cavaliers and Pistons. I'll get into here in a minute when we switch over to basketball. But that was wild. I can't believe that the Colorado Avalanche came back from a 3-0 deficit. I mean, to be quite honest, I kept watching it over there, and it looked like the Minnesota Wild were going to easily sweep that game and make it a 3-2 series with Colorado having to win one more game, but making it look like the Minnesota Wild come back. But the Minnesota Wild choked that lead away like Minnesota sports does all year round. And now the Colorado Avalanche are now in the Western Conference Finals, waiting to see who they play between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks. It's nice to see the Colorado Avalanche come back. I mean, the Colorado Avalanche did come back 3-0. That's why you can never count a game over until the final whistle blows. I mean, a lot of people thought that, like I myself, thought the Minnesota Wild were going to come back and win, but the Colorado Avalanche won in overtime, making it a 4-1 series lead. It's a gentleman's sweep. The Colorado Avalanche are moving on to the Western Conference Finals yet again. The Colorado Avalanche look like the team that beat in the Western Conference after that game. I mean, like I said, no lead was safe. I thought they were gonna win that game. I thought the Minnesota Wild were gonna win, but the Minnesota Wild blew a 3-0 lead and lost 4-3. Wild game. No pun intended. That was a wild game. No pun intended. Now we're up to current day for hockey. The Anaheim Ducks played tonight at 7 o'clock on TNT and True TV and HBO Max. The Buffalo Sabres take on for Game 5 against the Montreal Canadiens. I think the Buffalo Sabres go 3-2 tonight. I think they win on home ice and go 3-2, and the Buffalo Sabres go 3-2 and take it back to Montreal. But we'll see. I think Tage Thompson scores. I think maybe that other guy that had the game-winning goal, but I can't remember his name. I think he scores to help the Buffalo Sabres win. I think the Buffalo Sabres young goaltender helps them win today, and I think the young players like Tage Thompson and these other players score for the Buffalo Sabres and help them win. I can't believe the Buffalo Sabres are this far in the playoffs when the Buffalo Sabres didn't look that good in the regular season, but you got to give it to Lindy Ruff. Lindy Ruff has really turned that program around, and I think the Buffalo Sabres win tonight. The Anaheim Ducks are back in Anaheim tonight in the Honda Center. And the KeyBank Center is where the Buffalo Sabres play. But I think the Buffalo Sabres win. Like I said, I think Tage Thompson scores. I think Tage Thompson scores for the Buffalo Sabres. And I think Zach Benson has another goal. Zach Benson's looking really hot in the playoffs right now. And I think his hot streak continues tonight. I think Zach Benson has another goal to help the Buffalo Sabres win tonight. I think the Vegas Golden Knights are looking to move on to the next round to play the Colorado Avalanche. Will that happen, or will the Buffalo Sabres, or will the Anaheim Ducks tie that series up? I don't know. That's been back and forth series. It's hard to tell who's going to win that game. I mean, I know I only guess, so don't come at me. It's only a guess. But I think the Anaheim Ducks make it a Game 7. I think the Anaheim Ducks are too strong. I think they have a bad taste in their mouth from losing in overtime. And I think they come back out and win in Anaheim to show the Anaheim Ducks they have one more game left in them, and it goes back to Vegas. But that's just my guess. Maybe Vegas wins too. I don't know. But I think the Anaheim Ducks win. And I'm not going to guess who scores, but I think the Anaheim Ducks win. There was an NBA player named Collins that recently passed away from brain cancer, that playing the NBA for the Memphis Grizzlies, I believe. That's sad. So let's send our prayers and thoughts to his family during this rough time. But he had brain cancer, so that's sad. But that's one note to pass on. But I forgot to pass on every day when I was doing my video. The 70s. We'll get back into other sports here in a minute, but that's sad. So pray for that player's family. Darren Mooney's out as president of the basketball operation. Pray for Jason Collins and his family as he passed away recently and is only 29 years old or 47 years old with brain cancer. That's sad, but pray for his family. But now we're going to get back on the basketball. The Philadelphia 76ers, after getting beat by the New York Knicks, getting cut by the New York Knicks, will be having to look for a new basketball manager. It's going to be interesting to see what happens and how the Philadelphia 76ers shake themselves up, because the process has not been going good and they have not been anywhere near a championship or anything like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what the new manager and president does. But they're going to keep Nick Nurse as head coach. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I'm not a Sixers fan, I'm a Celtics fan, so I don't really care. But we'll see. The San Antonio Spurs won big on Tuesday night, making that series 3-2. San Antonio looks to move on to play the Oklahoma City Thunder, who swept the Los Angeles Lakers and put LeBron out of the season. It's going to be interesting to see if LeBron comes back next year, or if he plays for the Lakers or goes somewhere else. Some people think he can go back to Cleveland. I don't know what's going to happen with LeBron, but that's interesting. But the Spurs won 126-97. They won pretty big after losing to the Minnesota Grizzlies, Minnesota Timberwolves. They won pretty big. Minnesota's looking to make a game for Friday, but we'll get into that tomorrow. Last night, the Cleveland Cavaliers came back and won. It was wild. I was watching that game too, also the Minnesota Wild playoff game and Colorado Avalanche game at the same time. But the Cleveland Cavaliers were down by 9 points with like 2 minutes left or 3 minutes left or whatever, or 4 minutes left. I can't exactly remember because I was watching 2 games at once. But they were down a couple minutes left, and then they came back and turned around and went to overtime. Who would have thought that the Detroit Pistons would have choked away that lead? Another choke, like the Minnesota Wild choked away the lead last night, choked away that lead and lost in overtime to the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are now up 3-2. They won 117-113. I mean, it was a good game, back and forth, but who would have thought that the Minnesota Wild would have choked away that game? The Detroit Pistons would have choked away that game when they were up by 9, and they were looking pretty good. But we don't count out Cleveland. That team is young and scrappy, and that team came back and had a good run. But now the Cleveland Cavaliers are looking to have a day off today and playing the Pistons on Friday, which we'll get into that later on. But the Cavaliers came back and won last night in overtime. That was a wild game. I couldn't believe I was going to overtime. I thought the Detroit Pistons were going to win that game with ease when they were up by 9. But that's why you never count a game out, like you never count the hockey game out, because like I said, I thought the Minnesota Wild were going to win, but both of those teams choked away their leads and both lost in overtime. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting year. But they have off today. On Tuesday night, Paul Skeens had yet another great game, going 8 innings, only giving them 2 hits. He hit one batter early on, but only gave them 2 hits, and they ended up winning 3-0 because they were able to win. But last night, Mitch Keller went pretty good for 5 innings until he had a 5th inning where he blew it, and they lost. But today, the Pirates came back and won. But it was nice to see the Pirates win 3-0 on Monday when Paul Skeens is pitching. It's nice to see the Pirates win when Paul Skeens pitches. I mean, that's one thing you need when your best pitcher's pitching, to have one of your better games and win. Gonzalez started off a single, right. Some people thought, okay, that's the game, because the last game Paul Skeens pitched before that, all he needed was 1 run, and they had 1 run. But allowed a single to right in the 5th, and Cruz scored. And then Reynolds reached on the infield single to 2nd, and Griffin scored, and Cruz to 2nd, and Davis to 3rd, making it 3-0 the Pirates. I mean, the only bad thing about having Gregory Soto come in the 9th, he did get 1 hit, but luckily he was able to get out of it without blowing the lead for Paul Skeens, which is good. I was a little nervous there near the end, but he was going to blow the lead for Paul Skeens, because that's what happens when the bullpen comes in. They mostly blow the lead, but luckily he was able to get out the inning without giving up any more hits. So that's nice that the Pirates did that. They won 3-1 last night, on Tuesday night, but Paul Skeens had yet another game. Paul Skeens' ERA is getting a lot better after his first game against the New York Mets, where he didn't look good at all. A lot of my buddies, like Robbie Snyder, who I think is a baseball kid, but a lot of these other people kept coming at me and saying, oh, Paul Skeens is washed, blah, 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 but now they're all quiet and leaving me alone. Because Paul Skeens is doing a lot better for the Pirates now. I can't wait to see what he does on Sunday against the Philadelphia Phillies, the worst team in the state, the Phillies, that is. But I can't wait to see what he does. But Paul Skeens' ERA now is 6-2 on the season. It's nice to see Paul Skeens have a winning record and look a lot better for the Pirates. of late. I know he came out looking a little shabby, but now he's looking a lot better. Paul's game ERA is now 1.89, where it needs to be. He's getting more down after having a bad game, like I said, against the New York Mets in the opening game. And Juan Soto has a 1.69 ERA. Gregory Soto, I keep calling him Juan Soto because he plays for the Mets and has the same last name. But Gregory Soto needs to keep on doing good and being our closer. I think Gregory Soto needs to be our closer, like I do think some catcher needs to be our catcher today when we get in that game later. On Tuesday night, the Indians beat the Angels, or the Guardians beat the Angels 3-2. The New York Yankees beat the Orioles 6-2. The Pirates won 3-1. The Phillies won 2-1. The Tampa Bay Rays won 7-6. And final out of 10. The Mets won 10-3. Wow, the Mets are doing a lot better now. The Braves won 5-2 against the Cubs. That's good for the Pirates. The Mariners won 10-2 against the cheating Astros. That's good. The Giants beat the Dodgers 6-2. The Nationals beat the Cubs. The Reds 10-4. That's good. The Reds are starting to lose. Tonight the Pirates won't be in last place. The White Sox won 6-5 over the Royals. The Marlins lost 3-0. The Brewers won 6-4. The Rangers won 7-4 over the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Cardinals beat the Athletics. The Yankees, the Orioles won last night 7-0, or Wednesday night. Last night 7-0. The Indians won 7-4, or the Guardians. The Rockies won 10-4, which was not a good game. The Pirates looking pretty good until the 5th inning when Mitch Keller had a meltdown. I know Mitch Keller is normally good, but for some reason Mitch Keller did not do good last night and had a meltdown in the 5th, which led to an on-scoring for the Colorado Rockies in the rest of the innings, making it an even series. But we'll see what happens today. The Boston Red Sox beat the Phillies 3-1. That's funny. The Blue Jays won 5-3 over the Tampa Bay Rays in the final out of 10. Geez, back-to-back doubleheader games. The Mets won final out of 10 against the Detroit Tigers 3-2 in the final 10. The Cubs lost 4-1 against the Braves last night. The Astros won 4-3 against the Mariners. The Dodgers won 4-0 against the Giants last night. The Nationals beat the Reds 8-7. The White Sox won 6-5. The Marlins won 9-5 against the Minnesota Twins. The Brewers lost 3-1, and the Diamondbacks lost 6-5 against the Rangers. And the Athletics beat the Cardinals 6-2, which is nice to see. Other teams in the division lose, and even though the Pirates lost, all the other teams lost, so it didn't really affect the Pirates last night. I think the Mariners are going to win. They're winning 7-3 right now. I think the Red Sox win tonight against the Phillies. I think the Braves beat the Cubs. I think the Dodgers beat the Rockies. Or Giants, I mean. The Mets won 9-4. The Mets won 18-25 and 9-12 at home. They're starting to come back close to 500. The amazing Mets, who are one of the highest payrolls in all baseball, are starting to come back. I mean, they didn't do good at all beginning, but now they're starting to look better. I know they're playing the Detroit Tigers in 1925. They weren't much better because Stache Screwball is out right now, which is hurting my fantasy baseball team. Come back, Screwball. I need you. Stache Screwball, however you say his name. The Brewers are winning 7-0, and that's not good for the Pirates. I think the Athletics beat the Cardinals. I think the Orioles beat the White Sox. The Reds won 15-1 today. Jeez. The Marlins won 9-0. The Marlins lost to the Minnesota Twins, who are 22-14. Wow, they have the same record. They're 20-24. 9-1. But the Pirates won the series today because they had an early game at 12 o'clock against the Colorado Rockies. They had a couple people start early before Carmen just came in. I mean, Carmen just came in after two people. They called them openers or whatever they called them. After two people and went the rest of the innings until like the 7th inning. But that's what makes me think when Jared Jones comes back, which they said asked Jared Jones a couple weeks ago, one of these dumb reporters asked him if he would be a relief pitcher, and he said no, I'm a starting pitcher, which I don't know why they asked him that question. But Jared Jones, when he comes back, I think he's going to take over for Carmen Majewski. They're going to move Carmen Majewski into the bullpen. But we'll see. The Pirates won 7-2 today, making their record 24-20 losses to 13-10 at home. Reynolds singled to left and Cruz scored. and then in the first inning, O'Harn's home run and run score. O'Harn's looking really good. O'Harn's one of the guys we got from on free agency. If I get to play for the Baltimore Orioles, San Diego Padres last year, and he's looking a lot better. It's nice to see some of these young players that we got in free agency and free trades looking a lot better for the Pirates, because that's something the Pirates missed. A lot of home runs. They were dead last in home runs last year, and they're looking a lot better so far this year, even though it's at the beginning of the year. Rodriguez singled to center, and Griffin scored, and Hart scored, and Ordina second, making 5-0. Cruz grounded the shortstop, Ordina scored, Trio to second, and Rodriguez to third. And Johnson doubled to right. Oh, that's Rockies. But the Pirates won 7-2, and the Trio singled to center, and Rodriguez scored. Andy Rodriguez is coming up from the Indianapolis Indians. And before you PC babies come at me, they're really called the Indianapolis Indians still. I don't know why they didn't have to change their name, and why the Cleveland Indians and Washington Redskins did have to change their name, but they're still called the Indianapolis Indians. But that's something else. I mean, he was pretty good today. He was like 2 for 2 with an RBI, and did a lot better. I mean, Joey Bart has inflation in his foot right now, so we don't know how long Joey Bart is going to be out for. But that's something the Pirates need. They need an everyday catcher. I hope that Andy Rodriguez stays up when Joey Bart comes up. If he keeps playing like this, I think there's no doubt in my mind, but Don Kelly needs to keep him up and do something to Joey Bart or do something else. I mean, even Henry Davis. Henry Davis is, for some reason, Paul Skeens' his favorite catcher. I mean, maybe go out when Paul Skeens plays because Paul Skeens likes the catcher, but be on the bench. I mean, I know it's only one game, so we'll see what Andy Rodriguez does. But Andy Rodriguez has definitely made a name for himself to be an everyday catcher for the Pirates after getting called up from Indianapolis Indians. Andy Rodriguez has been hurt a lot in the past, so that's why he hasn't been called up for quite a while. But now with Joey Bart's injury, let's see what Andy Rodriguez can do for the Pirates. He did a lot better today and made the Pirates win, and had a couple RBIs to help the Pirates win. So I think that Andy Rodriguez needs to come up and needs to be the Pirates' everyday catcher right now. I know that's maybe me talking right now after being decided for the Pirates to win in a series one against the Colorado Rockies before he played the Philadelphia Phillies next. But watching his play today, I think he needs to be out. His bat was really hot today. If his bat stays hot, I think there's no doubt in my mind that they need to keep him up. Tomorrow's episode, we'll talk more about the schedule, but we had some rumors come out of some potential games. I mean, they're not official, but the main rumor that came out is about the Pirates playing overseas. There was a rumor earlier about that the New Orleans Saints might play the Green Bay Packers overseas in Paris, be the first game ever in Paris, France. But for some reason, the Saints didn't want to play the Packers because the Packers are a dominant team in the NFC, and the Saints are living in La La Land and thinking they're an up-and-coming team in the NFC, which I don't believe so. I think the Saints have a lot of help, and I don't think the Saints have a quarterback. I mean, I know I shouldn't say that because we don't know where Aaron Rodgers is. We don't know when Aaron Rodgers is going to sign because waiting is the hardest part. But anyway, the Pirates are going to be playing, or the Steelers are going to be playing in Paris, France this year. Be the first game in Paris, France ever against the New Orleans Saints. The Saints will be a home team, which is good because the Pirates haven't won in New Orleans since 1990. But for those who don't know sports that much, the Pirates never, the Steelers, excuse me, I keep on saying the Pirates, but the Steelers haven't won in New Orleans since 1990, but the Steelers hardly ever played in New Orleans, and if they do, they always switch back and forth every year. But the Steelers don't play them that much because the Saints are NFC teams, so some years they might be able to play that division NFC, but sometimes they don't. So that's one reason why the NFC South. So that's one reason why they don't play them that much, but you never know. But it's a good thing they're going to play in France. I mean, I think the Steelers fans will take over France. Here are the overseas games. In Week 1, in Melbourne, Australia, the 49ers will, on Netflix, at 8:35 p.m., the 49ers will be playing the Rams. In Week 3, in Brazil, the Ratbirds will be playing the Cowboys. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Ratbirds and the Cowboys. The Colts and Commanders play on NFL Network on Week 4, October 4, in London, UK. And then the Jaguars Duval have back-to-back games in London. First they played at Trotman Hotspur Stadium against the Eagles, and then they played the Houston Texans, having back-to-back home games in London. I mean, the Jaguars are one of London's favorite teams, So it makes sense to have back-to-back games in London. My God. And then in week 7, October 25th, before Halloween, the Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Saints in Paris, France, and SATD France Arena. The Saints at 9:30 a.m. in the morning. A lot of these games at 9:30 a.m. in the morning because of the time difference. But the Steelers play the Saints in France. Let's go over it again. The Ravens play the Cowboys in Brazil, or the Ratbirds. The Colts and Commanders are the first game in London, UK this year. That might be a good game for them. For the UK, I mean, the Commanders and Colts might be a good team. The Jaguars play the Eagles, which is a playoff team last year, and the Eagles might look good this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to the Jaguars. We'll get into more of that later. When the official schedule comes out, tomorrow's episode will be all dedicated to the NFL schedule when the schedule comes out tonight at 8 p.m. The Texans play the Jaguars in London back-to-back weeks. After they play the Eagles, they play in London. So they're probably going to stay in London when they play division round with the Houston Texans. On week 7, the Steelers play in France, being the first ever France game. Last year they had the first ever Ireland game, and this year they're going to be in the first ever game in France. But it's nice to see the Steelers are going internationally because the Steelers are the world's team, let's just face it. And here we go, Steelers. Madrid, Spain. The Bengals are playing the Falcons. I mean, the Bengals might do good, but I don't know how good the Falcons are going to be this year, but the Bengals are playing the Falcons. In Munich, Germany, the Patriots are playing the Lions. That might be a good game because the Patriots and Lions are always pretty good teams. So that might be a good game for the German people. In Mexico City, the 49ers play. Oh, that's week 10, excuse me. In the week 11, the last game overseas on NBC at 8:20 p.m. is the 49ers versus Vikings in Mexico City, Mexico. The Steelers play in France. I don't know any France, but oui. I hope the Steelers win. Also, a little spoiler from tomorrow's episode, because tomorrow's episode is going to be dedicated to the NFL schedule. According to rumors, the Steelers might be playing on Black Friday against the Denver Broncos, which is good. We won't have to go shopping. We can watch Pittsburgh Steelers hopefully beat the Broncos on Black Friday. And then the other rumor is the Steelers might play the Atlanta Falcons at home opener, which they haven't had a home opener for a while because the Pirates always seem to play when the Steelers win a regular season home opener, which is the first game of the regular season. The Steelers might play the Falcons at home. But all these games become official tonight at 8 o'clock when on the NFL Network. I might look at it. I don't know if I will or not. But all these games become official tonight when the official schedule comes out. And we're going to see where the Steelers play and what weeks they play. The only one we definitely know now of a set in stone is week 7 when they play the New Orleans Saints in Paris, France, because the Saints think they're an up-and-coming team, which I think is a joke. But let's hope we can beat the Saints. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do the schedule because probably a lot of these guys don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming back, even though Aaron Rodgers still hasn't said anything. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get a lot of primetime games because this could be Aaron Rodgers last year, and Aaron Rodgers is a future ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. It's going to be interesting to see how the NFL schedule works out. But I'll be more than happy to talk about the NFL schedule tomorrow when it officially comes out. And tomorrow's episode is Stache Sports. But thank you for watching Stache Sports. Again, tonight's hockey games, I think the Buffalo Sabres win, and I think they go 3-2. And I think the Anaheim Ducks tied it up and make it go to Game 7. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see if we have wild games like we did last night. If anybody has a big lead and blows it near the end of the game, like the Minnesota Wild did last night. But those are my 2 picks. But thanks for watching every episode of Stache Sports.